Sudden death. There's a paper still in the New England Journal from one of our Chinese students who's now in Boston. A fellow of ours did a diabetes project which totally unveiled the diabetes-heart interactions in Singapore. Subcutaneous heart failure, the fellows now in Vancouver leading a lot of the Canadian work, and we're in contact with them weekly, and various other projects. We have dipped our toe into a few other trials. Acute heart failure, like heart failure with preserved ejection fraction, has been a monumental failure from a cardiology standpoint. We had 20 years of trials, all negative, and I'm glad to see we've added to the negativity by another negative trial, which was presented 2 weeks ago in America, and it's going to come out in the New England Journal shortly as well. So Revived is a trial which, this is the same patient, it's not open, so the same patient, terrible coronary arteries, terrible ventricle. If they can't have a bypass, sometimes the surgeons say, I'm not touching this guy, he's too high risk. The question is whether you chase it with stenting, so percutaneous coronary intervention. Do you put the stents in or leave the patient alone? So again, in the UK, we've been privileged to be involved in this trial called the Revived trial. And again, I just personally very grateful to the extended team here who've been highlighting everybody they see with bad ventricles in this situation and offering them to me to investigate and recruit. And I'm delighted to see that the Jubilee is the second highest recruiting centre in the UK. It's a UK only trial. And while it's struggling around the UK, we're certainly trying to drive on as much as possible. It's a really important clinical question. Do you subject these people to PCI or do you leave them alone? And there are very much pros and cons of either strategy. Another thing we're doing, which is an important project with a lot of collaborators here, called Mary's been incredibly helpful from this point of view as well, is looking at this condition called heart failure with preserved ejection fraction without the big baggy heart, the smaller heart, and looking at the role of coronary artery disease. So again, the management teams here, the whole body of the Jubilee has been incredibly helpful in setting this trial up. We're going to take a cohort of people and find out what the contribution of coronary heart disease, there's a big vessel disease and small vessel disease, is to this condition. And again, this is partly being enabled because Colin's got such a great relationship with the pressure wire manufacturers, we've managed to negotiate very cheap prices, and the Chief Scientist's Office funded this on the back of that. So, other projects we're doing a trial called Ironman. There's a rather handsome chap you'll see on the stage later on in the middle of the picture, and Ian Ford with a chap called Paul Cara in Portsmouth are the PIs of this trial, and it's basically addressing whether or not patients with heart failure should have intervenous iron or not. We commonly find their levels are low for a whole bunch of reasons, and the question is replacing it the right thing to do. There are small studies of around 400 patients showing it probably improves quality of life. This is a robust morbidity mortality major trial that Ian's driving and has asked me to try and drive in Scotland, and I hope I come up to his expectations. Again, I'm not going to talk about too much longer, but we've got a whole bunch of ongoing projects. Palliative care in heart failure is a real thing which we've been incredibly interested about defining and trying to treat and trying to design trials about. We've just finished a 5-year project gathering data of consecutive admissions and defining what palliative care needs people have with a view to designing a randomised trial. This drug that Roy was talking about, which he's the PI of the one in the heart failure with preserved ejection fraction, we're about to start a worldwide trial of this drug post-acute MI. John McMurray was the PI behind the worldwide trial, which showed the benefit in people with weak hearts without doing a post-acute myocardial infarction. There's luckily the UK leader for that. We're doing a post-MI LVSD studies with people with after heart attacks with hearts don't pump so well, but not actually heart failure. And we're also heavily involved in new diabetes drug therapy. So there's a drug called empagliflozin, which is a major new cardiology drug, which is the first drug to improve outcomes in patients with diabetes. So the patient with diabetes and vascular disease stops you dying and reduces heart failure hospitalisation. So it prevents heart failure, prevents death in diabetic patients with vascular disease. We're now seeing does it work in heart failure. So Boehringer have given us £2 million. We've got a fellow called Matthew Lee who's doing this project with empagliflozin in heart failure. And we're doing a big outcome study with empagliflozin with AstraZeneca trial, which again I'm looking to be the UK lead for as well. Again, lots of other planned projects. It's a fantastic device which delivers subcutaneous furosemide. So people often end up in hospital for weeks or months at end having drips and infusions of furosemide. There's a company we're working with which has developed a non-irritant furosemide which you can give subcutaneously with a fancy little pump, which is basically always CE marked. And again, we're working with them to do a trial of early discharge in heart failure. We've got projects in dilated cardiomyopathy, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. We're very fortunate to have Caroline Coates has come up from London to work with us. We're hoping to employ her locally to drive these forward along with the rest of the extended team. John Cleveland has come up from Brompton, who's now another professor of heart failure in Glasgow, to join the rather crazy team we've got. And he's just submitting this week a bid to the MRC for an extremely large grant for a study called Curing Heart Failure, which is looking at remission of heart failure. And actually a lot of people can be cured. So we don't know exactly how many, we're going to map out the people we see. We often see people with terrible hearts that with good therapy after a year or 2 years can actually improve heart function, and look at the mechanism behind that. And also we're thinking about a study or a trial looking at heart failure's care in HF-PEF. We've been a bit guilty of not doing enough transplant trials, so we're going to start doing some more transplant trials. So I was in London last week with the other UK cardiac transplant centres. We're going to do a trial of high and low dose statins post-transplant, looking to try and prevent the narrowing of the heart arteries they get. And we're also we're doing a collaborative trial looking at trying to avoid doing heart biopsies, monitored for rejection, and trying to do cardiac biomarkers instead. Mitraclip and heart failure. So Mitraclip is a device therapy for heart failure, and one of the things we find for people with big baggy hearts is that because the heart's stretched and enlarged, the valves become leaky, particularly the mitral valve. There's a technique you can do percutaneously from the groin through the venous system, where you can actually clip the tips of the leaky valve together to make it less leaky. And we're very fortunate that John Cleveland, who's just come up from down south, was involved with the German large trial. So we've just managed to get them on board with us being a centre. So I'm just working through the mechanics of that, but he has to do the ethics for that. So we're in a meeting with Keith O'Droyd and John next week about actually launching that as a trial and driving it through Glasgow. And Mike, the devices are free as well. You don't have to keep them. So some things we do don't work. So there's a thing called a parachute device. This is a thing we for a while were putting in big baggy ventricles to try and reduce the volume of them. That didn't work so well, so we stopped doing that. And again, Catherine mentioned the gene therapy trial we were involved with before called Cupid-2, which took an immense amount of work, and Marion did an astounding job at setting up committees and driving the whole process through with Colin and others, so that was a great effort. I still think gene therapy's got some legs. I think it's good science, it works, and the trial design wasn't great, it was too small, and I'm hoping that gets relaunched. But at the moment it's struggling for funding. Again, we're asked to talk about implications of what we do, and a lot of the stuff that we do in Glasgow impacts on guidelines. I was lucky enough to be one of the UK members of the ESC End-Stage Guideline Writing Committee, one of the reviewers for the ESC Heart Failure Guidelines, which has got heavy Glasgow input.